Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Sajad Ali, a senior software engineer. This is my very first YouTube video where I will be covering the most important Java Spring Boot interview questions. So whether you have an interview lined up for a junior or a senior position or just want to refresh your knowledge, this video will be very much helpful to you. So let's dive into it. Well, this is the series of questions that we are going to cover in this video. I have been interviewed in the recent past, my friends also, so we found out these questions were the common among all of us. So we'll be covering those questions one by one in this video. Well, the very first question you might be asked, what is Spring Boot and how does it differ from the Spring framework? Well, you can simply answer by saying Spring Boot is nothing else but itself a module of Spring framework. Spring Boot simplifies the creation of both simple and web-based applications, which is also built on top of the Spring framework. It is designed to simplify the development and deployment of Spring applications, and the key point about this question is Spring Boot actually reduces the boiler code and also simplifies the configuration. Well, let's move on to our question number second, which is how does Spring Boot works? Well, this is something that we discussed in the last question, that Spring Boot configures your application automatically based on the dependencies you include in the project. And this is something which is achieved through the use of annotations. Well, let's take a look at one of the annotation, which is @Spring Boot application. And this is no different than the main method available in the Java class. And this annotation actually is the main entry point about the Spring Boot application, which actually contains the main method, same like the Java class, but actually runs the application. And the third point about this question is the component scanning. Actually, the Spring Boot uses the @component scan annotation to automatically detect and register components, which can be beans, controller, or services. And this scanning includes all components present within the defined packages and its subpackages. Let's move on to the question number 3. What are the Spring Boot's key components? Well, one of the components that we discussed in the last two questions is the auto configuration. The second thing is Spring Boot command line interface. And the third one is starter POM file, which is a XML file which includes all the dependencies that you actually require for your project to go ahead. And the last thing is the actuators, which is built-in tool for monitoring health checks and managing applications in the production. Moving on to question number 4, what is Spring Initializer? Well, rather than explaining, I will walk you through how it actually looks like. So this is the Spring Initializer, where you select the project type, then language, then Spring Boot version. Please avoid using the snapshot version because they are not the stable one. Then you can select the project metadata, packaging, also the version for Java, and also here you can include all your dependencies. Let's say I will include Spring Web, Spring JPA, and you can many more. Let's say if you are using the time.dat template engine, you can include it here, and then you simply generate the project. So if you're asked about this question, then you can simply say it is a web tool to quickly generate a Spring Boot project with a pre-configured structure. Question number 5. Explain Spring Boot DevTools and its benefits during development. Well, before going into the definition, let's say if you are working on a project and you have done some changes, and in order to see the changes on the browser, what you have to do, you definitely have to rerun the application or the server. But when it comes down to the Spring Boot DevTools, you do not have to rerun the application or a server because this is what the Spring Boot DevTool does. So in this way, it saves the time and it's very helpful for the development process. So when it comes down to the definition, we can simply say it is a set of tools that enhance development by providing automatic restart, live reload of resources, and remote debugging. And it actually helps developers iterate faster and improve efficiency during the development process. Question number 6. How does Spring Boot simplify the creation of RESTful web services? Well, in order to simplify the web services, we have to use the annotation which is @REST controller. and it itself is a combination of two more annotation, which is controller and response body, which actually simplify the creation of REST APIs. It also provides the built-in support for the content negotiation, exception handling, and serialization. Moving on to question number 7, what is Spring Boot's embedded container and how does it works? Well, Spring Boot includes embedded servlet containers like Tomcat, JT, and Undertow. And how it works? These containers run Spring application without the need for external deployment. They are also included as dependencies and automatically configured based on the application's class path. One of the benefits of using the Spring Boot's embedded container, they actually simplify the deployment by eliminating the need for another server setup and also reduces the overhead and configuration complexity. Moving on to question number 8, please explain Spring Boot support for database access. Well, integrating any of the database within the Spring Boot is not very much difficult. You just have to simply provide the properties of your database inside the application.properties, and the rest of the things Spring Boot itself will take care of. So it will automatically configure the data source, transaction management, and JPA providers. Moving on to our second last question of the day, which is annotations used for writing API. So the first one we use is at the rate REST controller on top of the controller clause, which actually defines a controller clause for RESTful web services. And then we can use the HTTP methods, can be get, post, put, delete, and then we can do the binding and response annotations with at the rate request body or at the rate response body. Moving on to our question number 10 and the last one of this video, which is explain how Spring Boot supports microservices architecture. Well, Spring Boot is well suited for building microservices due to its lightweight nature and support for cloud native development. It also provides another key features, which is embedded containers, auto configuration, externalized configuration, and also RESTful APIs. Well, that's me with my first video on YouTube. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe for more content on Spring Boot and Java. If you got any questions or any topics you would like me to cover, please drop them in the comments. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Bye.